This video is about converting between decimals, fractions, and percents and finding simple probability. So probability is the outcome or the chance an outcome will happen. Now there's three ways that we can write probability. We can write it as a fraction, as a decimal, or as a percent. So we're going to first practice moving between the three forms. So when you have a fraction, you can get to a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. So we could do 1 divided by 6, and we're going to round our decimal to the nearest thousandth, so 3 decimal places. So we would have 0.167 because the fourth 6 rounds that 6 up to a 7. To get that as a decimal, we're going to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So we would have 16.7%. If our fraction is 3/8, we're going to have 0.3 divided by 8, and that's going to be 3.375. And when we move that to a percent, we move the decimal point 2 places to the right, so we have 37.5%. Now, when we have a decimal already given to us, to move it to a percent, we're just going to move the decimal point 2 places to the right, so we'd get 20%. To get the decimal to become a fraction, what we're going to do in the calculator is we're going to type the decimal point 20, and then we're going to hit math, enter, enter, and we get our reduced fraction, which is 1/5. So if we have the decimal 1.23, when we move the decimal places 2 points to the right, we get 123%. Remember, percents can be over 100 sometimes. And then to get this as a fraction, we're going to do 1.23 in the calculator, hit math, enter, enter. So our reduced fraction is 123 over 100. Now, if we have a percent, the first thing we want to do is move that to a decimal. So we're going to move the decimal place 2 points to the left. So when we move from 28 to the left twice, we get 0.28 as the decimal. And to turn that into a fraction, we'd have 0.28, math, enter, enter. So our fraction would be 7 over 25. When we have the percent of 150, we have to move the decimal place 2 places to the left, so we get 1.5 as our decimal. So to get that as a fraction, 1.5, math, enter, enter, gets us 3 over 2. So if an event is an absolute, remember that we're going to say the probability is 100% or 1 over 1. Sometimes we do hear that percents will be more than 100, and this deals more with other situations compared to probability, but it's something to know about. So to find probability, it's going to always be the desired outcome over the total number of chances. So let's find the probability of some different situations. Number one, find the probability that a randomly chosen friend is a Cubs fan if there are 8 friends that are Cubs fans and 4 friends that are Sox fans. So that means we know that there's 8 Cubs fans, and between the 8 and the 4, there's 12 total people because we can add 8 plus 4 is 12. So to get this as a fraction, we need to reduce. So we can either use the calculator, or I know both of these numbers are divisible by 4, which leaves us at 2/3. To get this into a decimal, we're going to do 2 divided by 3 and round to the nearest thousandth. So we have 0.667. And then to get to a percent, we're going to move the decimal point over twice to the right. So our percent would be 66.7%. Number 2, there's a bag of 20 marbles. 5 marbles are red, 8 marbles are blue, 3 marbles are green, and 4 marbles are yellow. Write the answer as a fraction, decimal, and as a percent. So in part A, we want the probability of a red marble. So we know that there are 5 red marbles out of a total of 20 possible marbles in the bag. So both of those numbers reduced by 5. So our probability is 1/4. So we also need a decimal and a percent. So we're going to do 1 divided by 4, which gets us 0.25. And if we move the decimal place 2 points to the right, we get our percent of 25%. The probability of a green marble. So we know that there are 3 green marbles out of a possible 20 marbles. 3 over 20 does not reduce, so that's going to be our fraction. So in the calculator to get our decimal, 3 divided by 20 gets us 0.15, which we can turn as a percent by moving the decimal over 2 to the right, which is 15%. Number 6, what's the probability of a yellow or a blue marble? So there's 4 yellow marbles and 8 blue marbles. So 8 plus 4 gets us 12 out of the possible 20 marbles. Both of these numbers are divisible by 4. So this reduces to 3/5. So we can get that into a decimal by doing 3 divided by 5, which gets us 0.6. Now when I move that decimal point over 1, 2, remember, fill in that blank with a 0. So our percent is going to be 60%. And then the last one is that there's not a blue marble. So if we know that there's 20 marbles and 8 of them are blue, that means there's 12 other marbles that we can pick to be successful. So to get our ratio, it's going to be 12 over 20, which again reduces to 3/5, which just like the last problem, the decimal then was 0.6 and our percent was 60%. Number 3, a group of students is asked their favorite color. The results are shown in the table below. So we have 5 colors: red, blue, green, orange, and purple. So how many students were polled? So we're just going to add up all of the total votes. So we have 32 plus 40 plus 28 plus 27 plus 23, and we get a total of 150 students. So what is the probability that a student said orange? Well, there was 27 orange votes, so we're going to do 27 over 150, and we're going to use the calculator because it's a bigger number to see if it can reduce. So we're going to do 27 divided by 150, math, enter, enter. So our reduced fraction would be 9 over 50. So to get our decimal, 9 divided by 50 would get us 0.18. And we can move that to 2 places to the right to get 18%. Number 6, or part C, what is the probability that a randomly chosen student said red or blue? So we see that 32 students said red and 40 students said blue, so that's a total of 72 votes. So we would have 72 over 150, which in the calculator we're going to do 72 divided by 150, math, enter, enter, which reduces to 12 over 25. So to turn that into a decimal, we're going to do 12 divided by 25, and we get 0.48. When we move the decimal 2 places to the right, we get 48%. Part D, what is the probability that the student chosen said green? So there are 28 green votes, so we're going to do 28 over 150. And we can reduce that by doing 28 divided by 150, math, enter, enter. And that reduces to 14 over 75. So to get our decimal, we're going to do 14 divided by 75, which gets us 0.187. When we round to our nearest thousandth, which is 3 decimal places. And to move that to a percent, we move the decimal point over 2 places, so we get 18.7%. What is the probability that the student chosen did not say purple? Well, purple had 23 votes, so we're going to subtract that from 150. So 150 minus 23 gets us 127. So to find the probability, there's 127 out of 150. So when we divide 127 divided by 150, math, enter, enter, that we can't reduce that, so we're going to leave that and just convert it to our decimal, which is 0.847, and that converts to 84.7%. Let's look at one more example. So Warren is hosting girls volleyball camp over the summer for only freshmen and sophomores. Of 120 girls that attended this year, 75 of them are freshmen. Of the 75 freshman volleyball players, 30 of them play another sport as well. Use this information to find the probability as a simplified fraction. So what is the probability that we would pick a sophomore out of the girls at the camp? So there's 75 freshmen and there's 120 girls total. So 120 minus 75 means that 45 of them are freshmen or are sophomores. So we have 45 over 120. And we're going to see if that reduces by doing 45 over 120, math, enter, enter. So that reduces to 3/8. So to get our probability of freshmen, we know that there's 75 freshmen out of a total 120 at the camp. 75 divided by 120, math, enter, enter, and that reduces to 5/8. Now, looking closer at the freshmen, we want to know the probability of a freshman playing another sport. Well, it said of the freshman volleyball players, 30 of them play another sport. So we would have 30 divided by 75. We're going to do 75 on the bottom because we're only looking at freshmen in this case. So 30 divided by 75, math, enter, enter, and that reduces to 2/5. So if 30 of them do play a sport, 75 minus 30 means that 45 of them only play volleyball. So we're going to have 45 over 75. 45 divided by 75, math, enter, enter, gets us a fraction of 3/5.